Hi everyone, it's Rachel back with the Shades of Orange, and today I'm here for a good old-fashioned book haul. This will be my last book haul of 2022, and if I'm very lucky, hopefully I will come back with a Christmas book haul, but we'll see. And this is a great combination of the genres I read, so horror, thriller, science fiction, and fantasy. There are quite a few review copies, including books coming out in 2023, so kind of a good preview, as well as some gifts and some books that I bought myself that I bought actually a while ago and kind of forgot to tell you about. So about time that I get this all out of the way. Got lots of books here, I'm surrounded, so let's get started. So first let's talk about gifts, and in case you don't want to check out this section or any other sections, just know that I do have timestamps down below in the description, so you can skip over this if you don't want to hear about gifts, rather than giving me the usual thumbs down that I get whenever I get books from people. Anyway, right before Halloween, I actually got two different books that came as Halloween gifts, which is super cool. I wish Halloween gifts was more of a thing, but I got a gift from Regina, who has her own library channel that is Regina's Library. And so if you want to check out an author and horror booktuber, definitely go check her out. And she's also, again, an author. So she sent me this book that she's written, and I don't think I've ever read anything by her, which is kind of embarrassing. I think I've been intimidated to check it out just because, I don't know, there's something when like you're trying out an author and you already know them as an individual. I always get super nervous. Is that just me? But this one is called Code Red, and this is about a vampire outbreak at, I believe, a hospital, a mental hospital, which is even better. It sounds a little similar to the story of Dracula's by Blake Crouch and a couple other authors that my patron book club read. So similar premise, but I'm excited to see where this one goes. It looks really fun. It should be really action-packed. And again, hopefully this is a good place to start with her work. It was a wonderful Halloween surprise, and I've been dying to check it out, but I wanted to haul it first, so now I have no excuse not to pick it up this weekend. And as a second surprise, I also got a copy of The Strange Case of Dorian Gray by Cindy Wignet, and this is an author that I have read and reviewed before on my channel. She's an indie author who focuses on mashing up classic horror tales, and so as you can probably guess from this title here, it's a combination of The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde along with Dorian Gray. I haven't read the first one, but I have read Dorian Gray, and it's probably one of my favorite classics, although I'm well overdue to reread it. I think I read it in high school, as is the case with most classics that I've read. But anyway, eager to check this one out because I definitely liked her previous mashups, and this is her newest one. And yeah, it should be a fun time, so I'm excited to see where she goes with this one. And I got two books from an Instagrammer named Elaine who follows my channel. She actually sent me a book that arrived in time for my previous book haul, but then she actually sent two more that arrived after I filmed it, so I'm excited to show them here, and then of course excited to read them. And she happens to know that I love the author of Let the Right One In, so she found me used copies, because they're really hard to find, of these books. So one is called Handling the Undead, which I've never heard about, also of course by John Avitas Lindquist. And this one I understand is about kind of a post-apocalyptic setting where there is a zombie outbreak. But I'm really excited because knowing in this author's work, he tends to be very literary in his style of writing and all of that, so I think it's going to be a really smart take on zombies and not just kind of the usual kind, although honestly I'm fine with the usual kind, but I'm very eager for this one, knowing my love for zombie fiction. And then he also has this other book called Harbor, and I'll be honest, I know very little about it, and I should have done my homework before making this video. But I think it is, you know, set in a cold and chilling atmosphere. What is it? A cold, snowy island. We follow a young 6-year-old who is visiting a lighthouse. I don't know. I just think this is going to be a perfect winter read. I honestly know very little about it, but honestly with the author's name, I'm very excited to check it out. Besides Let the Right One In, I think he has a couple of books, and I haven't read anything else besides that one. So I think this was a really cool, smart gift, something that was nice because it wasn't actually on my wish list, but she just picked them out knowing my taste in books and authors and knowing that I love the other books, so I thought that was a really nice surprise. That was very thoughtful, so thank you again, Elaine. Now let's talk about some horror review titles, and I have some really exciting ones to talk about here. So first off, I got an email from Cemetery Dance asking me if I wanted to review one of their upcoming titles. I said yes. I also gushed a little bit about their publishing house, and well, they end up sending a few more books along. So the book that they actually contacted me about first was The Eaters of Gods by Dan Franklin, which is a book I hadn't heard about before, and I should mention Cemetery Dance has really nice covers, so this is hardcover if you're someone who really cares about the physical object of the book. And this one is a horror book that is set, as you can kind of guess, all around Egyptian lore and myths and gods, and I just love it. Of course, I think like everyone my age, I don't know, we're just obsessed with like Egypt and think it to be a really fascinating mythology, and I'm very eager for this one. It is quite short, which is a plus when it comes to horror. I do tend to like really short and sweet stories, and yeah, I'm eager to get to this one. And then on top of that, they sent me some other ones. So So one they sent me is Sallow Bend by Alan Baxter. And this one I don't know a lot about. I think I heard it mixed as like Chainsaw Massacre mixed with Stranger Things. So there's two teenagers that go missing in a small rural town. The residents are trying to search for them. And I think there was like an ancient evil that awakes. I don't know. There's something about that like premise. It's very tropey in nature, but I'm always here for it. So eager to check this one out. I'm happy it's not a haunted house story, but it's going to be something a little bit more perhaps folk horror. So I don't know. I don't think I've ever read this author before. So again, this is a great chance for me to kind of dive further into a lot of horror authors I haven't checked out yet. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I've read him. Next one they sent is The Man in the Field by James Cooper. I'll be honest, I'm not sure if this one's going to be up my alley, but it's so short. It looks like novella length. I'll be able to fly through it. This one is about a village, a remote one that is God-fearing, and there are ancient rituals that they must do. So this one, okay, definitely sounds folk horror to me. Maybe this is up my alley. And yeah, I don't know much about it, just talking about like old age customs, things like that, and I know I'm here for it. So yeah, don't know much about it, but that's again the great surprise of checking out something and hopefully finding a new favorite. Last one from Cemetery Dance is Touch the Night by Max Booth III. This is one that I thought was a novella, but no, it's like 400 pages, I think. I've read at least one book by him before and I've wanted to read more. Okay, and this is a book that has the Stranger Things meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre tie-in. So regardless, I'm excited for this one, which kind of a similar idea. You have a small town, there's some kind of secret, there's a 12-year-old boy or two 12-year-olds that actually are trying to find themselves and track down things. I don't know. This is a book that I don't even want to know too much about. So I'm just gonna go into it. I've been again eager to check out more by this author. I don't want to spoil myself for the synopsis, so we'll find out together what it's all about and if I like it. And I also received another group of books from another small press, and that is Camcat Books, which if you don't know, that's the same publisher that did The Girl in the Corn, a new release I really liked this year. And so they sent me some other books to check out based off my enjoyment of that one. So the first one is When the Night Bell Rings by Joe Kaplan, which is a historical horror book that I talked about already on my channel. It definitely has like gothic atmospheric feels to it if that's your thing. They also sent me a book called Claw Heart Mountain by David Oppengard, which I think is more of a classic haunted house story. I might be wrong. I will check it out. You know that I don't always love haunted house stories, but again, I've had good luck with this publisher so far, so I'm hoping that'll be the kind of thing that I will enjoy. And yeah, I'm curious about this one. I know very little about it. And they also sent me a backlist title, which is one, I feel like I've seen this title buzzing around before, and that is The Taxidermist Lover by Polly Hall. And this one, oh, I should read it soon. It's set on a stormy Christmas, and it is about a woman recalling a year-long love affair with a renowned taxidermist. Oh, I think I'm gonna like this one. And he is obsessed with creatures, and she pushes him to outdo his rival. I'm really gonna like this. I forgot, I did check out the synopsis before I requested or said yes to this book, but it's been so long that I completely forgot, and this sounds really amazing. So I'm definitely gonna check out this one very soon. This would be an awesome Christmas read if it's apparently kind of set as like a retelling over Christmas. I'm really excited for that. And next, let's talk about some Tor titles. So I also got a copy of Sister Maiden Monster by Lucy A. Snyder. This is a Tor Nightfire title that is coming out early next year in February, and it follows 3 different women perspectives as they are trying to survive this nightmarish situation. I believe this book was included in my most anticipated releases, and the cover is gorgeous, but of course hopefully the book is just as good inside. But yeah, I'm definitely impressed with what I see so far. The next one I'm really excited for is a haunted house story, so who am I? But that is The Spite House by Johnny Compton, and this is one again about a man who is on the run with his 2 daughters, and because of how they're leaving the situation, I don't think he has proper full custody of them. He can't really get a proper job, so he ends up taking a job as a custodian to this old mansion, and perhaps the mansion is haunted. But for whatever reason, I kind of like more investigative settings for haunted houses. And again, I like the family aspect, the idea that perhaps he's, in the right to be stealing them, but not. I know I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. In fiction, I should mention, but yeah, I'm excited for this. So I hope it lives up to my expectations. Next up is Pinata by Leopoldo Gout, which is possibly one of my most anticipated releases for next year because of the fact that I love this author's first book, Ghost Radio. But this one again is about a woman who is, I believe, living in New York, but goes to Mexico to do some work. She brings her daughters. However, the job in Mexico goes horribly wrong and they end up going back to New York, and well, possibly something follows them back there. So it's like maybe possession style. I don't know. I'm really excited for this one. So high hopes for this. I found Ghost Radio to be super creepy, and I'm hoping the same will be with this one. Yeah, I've been waiting for this one. I think it was supposed to come out in 2022, but obviously that didn't happen. But I've been waiting a really long time for this book, so I'm glad it's here. And I think a lot of you are going to be excited to see that I have a review copy of How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. I am so excited for his new release. Yes, it's a haunted house story, but if anyone can make me love a haunted house story, it's hopefully Grady Hendrix. I don't always completely love the way that he narrates stories, in the way that they aren't necessarily 5-star reads for me, but I still will stand by the fact that he's one of the smartest authors writing in the horror genre. I think he has done so much to open up the horror genre, to expose new readers to it. He's very self-aware of the tropes of the genre, and he plays with them and turns them around. So he's an author that, while he's not always a 5-star read for me, I still love to read his books because of the fact I appreciate so much of what he's doing. So needless to say, really excited for this one. Hopefully it will be my first 5-star Grady Hendrix read, and we will all find out very soon because I believe it comes out in January, so I'll get reading this right away. And if we have time, let's talk about a few more pretty horror titles. So I also have A Dowry of Blood by G.T. Gibson. This is a book that I received for review from Orbit, and I already have reviewed it, and this is like a gothic romance involving a woman who becomes a lover of Dracula. I don't typically love vampire stories or romance stories or gothic stories, but this one was short and sweet and really poetic, and I probably could have included it as a gift in my holiday gift guide because I do think that it's a really just pretty cover. So if you do have a horror lover in your life that you haven't bought a gift for, this one is one that you might want to check out. I really liked it. And I got like a fancy box in the mail, so that was exciting. I got this box that says, "Memories can be destroyed, and so can the truth." Very exciting. Anyway, so I opened it up and there was a book inside. This is one that I did request, so I knew it was coming, and that is All the Dangerous Things by Stacey Willingham. This is the same author who did A Flicker in the Dark, which is one of my favorite thrillers from this last year, and so I'm very excited to check out her new one. Honestly, I know very little about it. This is about a woman who is living every mother's worst nightmare. Sounds fantastic. A year ago, her toddler son was taken out of his crib in the middle of the night. Not so fantastic, and while her husband was asleep, and the case has gone cold. This is probably going to hit me in the feels if I'm capable of feeling anything. I always joke that I'm a very black-hearted or cold-hearted reader, but the fact that it's about a mom with her toddler son that has been stolen away might actually make me feel something. And again, I really like the twists and turns in the last one. I thought it was a good, just straight page turner, so hopefully this one will be as well. And yeah, I'm excited for this one, so stay tuned. I'll be reading this one soon. I believe it comes out in, I want to say January, so probably one of my end of the year reads so that I'm ready to go for the review date. And let's quickly talk about a few science fiction titles that came my way. First is Unconquerable Sun by Kate Elliott. This is the first book in her space opera series that's supposed to be like a gender-flipped Alexander the Great, and the second book is coming out, I believe, in March, so Tor kindly sent me the first one so that I can get caught up, so very much looking forward to that. I also got a copy of Karma and the Sun by Brandon Ying Kid Boy, and this is actually from the same publisher I mentioned in my last segment, so this is Camcat Books, and this is one that I included in my anticipated releases. It's set in the isolation of the Himalayas, the snow is falling, and there is like a nuclear winter that's happening right now, and it's believed that the final and 7th blast is going to be coming, and I believe it follows a young boy who is searching for his father, this boy being Karma, and it sounds really interesting. It sounds really different. It's not the typical kind of post-apocalyptic or apocalyptic narrative I'm used to hearing about. So yeah, I'm excited for this one. And again, I've had good luck with Camcat so far, so I definitely want to check out some of their SFF and see if I enjoyed as much as their horror. Also, I received a copy of The Keeper 6 by Kate Elliott, also the same author I just mentioned. And this is a short novella from Tor.com that I believe is coming out in January, so I should get to it soon. And this is a science fiction book, but with elements of fantasy, so I believe it involves jumping between worlds, but obviously there's also creatures. I believe there are dragons, or at least dragon lords within this world. So yeah, I'm excited for it. I haven't read as much Kate Elliott's backlist as I would like, but I'm trying to keep up with her new releases. And yeah, very excited for this one. I always kind of get excited for the like first releases of the year. So all the January releases are just like filled with potential of being new favorites. So we shall see. And I also want to mention this pretty book. I received a review copy of The Stars Undying by Emery Robin. This is a book from Orbit Books that I already reviewed. This is a space opera that is inspired by the events and life of of Cleopatra and her relationship with Julius Caesar. And so within this story, we follow characters in the far-flung future, but very much mirrors Cleopatra's own childhood, where her family throws her out and she has to kind of rebuild and retake her own place in society. So I liked it a lot. It's a book I enjoyed when I was reading. It was very different than I expected because I thought it was going to be super romancy. And I gotta say, it's one that the more time has passed, the more I'm thinking about it. So I'm really eager to get back to it. I at first thought it was just a standalone, but it looks like it's going to be part of a larger series. So possibly a trilogy or duology. I hope it's more. And I'm excited to get back to this one because I'm definitely thinking about it and I liked it a lot. And last, let's talk about some books that I bought myself. I'm kind of running out of time, so let's see how far we get into this video. I've picked up a few books using store credit, so I'm not actually spending my money, but trading in books that I no longer want to read. And so I was able to pick up some books without actually having to swipe my credit card. So the first one I got is Empire of Silence, the first book in the Sun Eater series. I've actually already read this before buying it, but I wanted to reread the series again. I own the fourth book in the series, so I want to still buy the second and third, which will probably just be mass market paperbacks like this, because it's definitely a series that I want to revisit, especially as the later books come out. You kind of want to refresh yourself as to what has all happened, and I do love the mass market covers for these, so I'm excited to have a copy of that. And I think I recently showed it in a video, but I also got a copy of The Lost World by Michael Crichton, which matches oh so nicely with the copy of Jurassic Park that I previously bought and hauled. So I'm really happy how nicely those two look together. If you saw my review, you know that I didn't love The Lost World, but I'm still glad that I got to check it out. So I'm gonna hang on to it even though it wasn't like a favorite book. And I also found a cheap copy of I, Robot by Isaac Asimov. It was 50 cents at a used book sale, or a garage sale rather, and so I was really eager to check that out. It's actually ripped, but it's such a cool old edition that I really didn't mind. And then I got a copy of A Deepness in the Sky by Vernor Vinge. I actually got this copy before I got a chance to read A Fire Upon the Deep, and so I just trusted that I was going to love that book enough that I wanted to buy the other book to go alongside it. I've heard that the later book, Children of Something, is not as good, but I've heard that this one is almost as good, or some people say even better than the first book, so we shall see. And then along the same lines, I also got a copy of Red Mars by Kim Stanley Robinson, which of course is an iconic book about the colonization of Mars. I've actually read half of this book and then I kind of gave up or lost steam, but I was doing it on audio and I think it's going to be much better to just physically read it because I can read a lot faster than I can listen. And so I'm eager to have a copy. And again, this was 50 cents at a garage sale, so not too bad. Also at a garage sale I got for 50 cents is Rendezvous with Rama by Arthur C. Clarke. Never read anything by him and I've heard great things about this one. And at the same used garage sale for 50 cents, I got a copy of 2010 Odyssey 2, which I actually didn't realize. I wasn't paying attention. I actually thought this was 2001, so I realized it's a sequel book. So I still need to read the first book in the series before going into this one. I don't own a copy, but it should be pretty easy to find through my library, so not a big deal. So that was just cool. And last, I want to haul a few books that I actually got a while ago on Book Outlet and for some reason just didn't haul because I've given myself a ban on Book Outlet because I spend too much money on there on books that I haven't read, and I've just really tried to cut down my book buying habits. So anyway, I ended up getting these really nice editions of Foundation by Isaac Asimov, as well as the second book, Foundations of Empire, and then the third book, Second Foundation. I really hope I got those in the right order. I know there's, I believe, 3 more books that I could get, but I stopped there. And again, I haven't read any of these, so I'm really eager to get to them. One thing I don't know if I mentioned on my channel, but my hope for 2023 is to get back to 0 TBR in terms of physical books. So outside of review copies, I would really like to get to the point that I don't own any books that I haven't read. And so part of the reason I really wanted to do with this book haul was to show you the books that I still need to read. And so you'll basically get a preview of what my spring TBR is going to look like, because I want to work through all of these books, get them done, and then get to the point that if I'm buying a book from a used bookstore, if I'm picking it up at a garage sale, ideally I want to be reading that book right away, because I know about you, but when I buy a book and then it sits on my shelf for 6 months or 2 years, it starts to turn into homework and it kind of loses the excitement around the book. So I really want to get back to 0 TBR. It's how I used to read, and I've kind of gotten away from that in the last few years, so I'm trying to get back to that. So that's the plan here. I'd love to know what your plans are for reading in 2023. Otherwise, I think that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to my channel, this is pretty representative of what I read, so horror, thriller, science fiction, and and fantasy. And don't forget, if you want to stick around, you can hit subscribe and then hopefully come back in the new year with lots of new content, lots of reviews, and maybe another book haul, we shall see. And if you want to help me out, you can give me a thumbs up, drop a comment, even if just an emoji like a stack of books. And if you want to hit that little notification bell, you'll never miss a video from me. Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.